Hey guys, today I'm going to show you something that I've been looking forward to for quite a while actually. I'm going to make an Italian meringue with you and then an Italian meringue buttercream. So lots of exciting stuff, and I've been experimenting with it for quite a while, and it's gone so well that I'm ready to share this recipe with you. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to show you the different elements of what makes an Italian meringue and what makes an Italian meringue buttercream, and why it is so tasty. So let's get started. With an Italian meringue, there are a couple of elements basically. So it's just like a normal meringue. You are going to whisk some egg whites and you're going to add in sugar. Only that what we're doing is we're whisking egg whites while making a sugar syrup. And that sounds really scary, but it's actually really not. So let's start by making the sugar syrup, and it's essentially just water and sugar, and we're just going to boil this on high heat until it's completely dissolved, then boiled, and then we're going to use our thermometer to reach about 118 degrees. We want 118 degrees because that makes the perfect consistency for pouring in our sugar syrup into our egg whites. Once you start seeing that water boiling, so it's not that hard, it's not going to burn, you're not going to have a disaster, it's not going to be like caramel where you go, well, it's too brown. Take a deep breath, relax, just let it do its thing. Don't touch it while it's actually boiling. Once you see the water really bubbling as if you had boiling water, you then turn on your Thermomix. We're going to pop in our egg whites in the meantime in our Thermomix, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Just take your butterfly, and don't fly away with it. So let's pop that in there. We've got our egg whites. A quick tip to egg whites: if you have the time before, and I've said this in other videos as well, whenever you are making meringue, if you're making macaron or you're making this Italian meringue or Italian meringue buttercream, whatever you are doing with meringue, it's a great tip, if you can, the evening before, to crack your eggs and separate them and put your egg whites in the fridge. They become old or aged overnight, and essentially what that does is it helps your proteins to split up a little bit better. They become a little bit more creamy, the eggs, and also stiffer. So it makes a small difference. It doesn't make a complete world of a difference. So if you've forgotten or if you haven't had time and you really want to get started, don't worry about it. We'll just get started. Pop our egg whites in, and now I'm going to add a tiny bit of cream of tartar. That's not in every traditional Italian meringue recipe you'll find, but I find that adding a tiny bit of cream of tartar really helps keep a really good consistency. It makes it smoother, it makes it creamier, and it makes it just so much better. I'm going to just drop that in, and as soon as we're ready and this sugar syrup is boiling, I'm going to turn this on. The sugar syrup is now ready, so it's reached 118 degrees. I'm going to turn this back on to speed 3, okay? And I'm going to now very slowly, really slowly pour in this sugar syrup into my mixing bowl, okay? You have to be very careful because it's extremely hot, no more than that. Syrup is in, you're basically over the worst. Now, it's all still safe. You know you've still got some nice meringue going. We're going to keep it on speed 3 until the timer is up. And if you have some frozen peas or something really cold, you can hold it to the sides to make sure that your meringue cools down really fast, because we need a cool meringue in order to make the Italian meringue buttercream. The 20 minutes are now up, meringue is finished, and at this point we're going to obviously first of all show you how epic that looks. Look at that! That's a proper, amazing, perfectly cooked meringue. That is Italian meringue at its finest, and it's so simple. It wasn't actually that hard. We did it well. It's super stiff, as you can see. It's completely non-shakeable. And what you need to do before you use this now for anything, you could use this to make pavlova, you can use it to make meringue kisses, you can make macaron with this. This is just a really good meringue that you can use for absolutely anything meringue related. But we do need to cool it down first. Although I've actually worked with my ice packs a little bit, this is still very hot. And it needs to come down to temperature room temperature ideally, before we are putting our butter in. And so I'm going to pop it in the fridge as it is, probably between half an hour and an hour, and then I'm going to just check that the entire thing is cool and is at room temperature so that we can make our Italian meringue buttercream. It's been about half an hour, 45 minutes, and my meringue is completely cool now. I've checked all of the sides, I've also popped it in, and you would see if there's any residual temperature on a TM5 or TM6. Now there is no residual temperature, which means that it's actually cool enough. What I'm going to do now is essentially drop in my butter. I have cut up my butter about 45 minutes ago into chunks, and I'm going to drop in 2 chunks at a time. You want your butter to be room temperature as well. It shouldn't be much softer than this, so when you're actually touching it, it should sort of come apart nicely, but it shouldn't be completely melted soft. That's too soft, because then you'll end up with buttercream soup, and I have been there, and I don't want you guys to get there. So we'll make sure to have the butter at a nice temperature, and essentially meringue and butter should be at the same temperature so that they can ideally mix up really nicely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in 2 pieces at a time, essentially. I'm going to go on for 5 seconds and then turn off the Thermomix again. Then drop in 2 pieces again and do the same thing again until I've used up my butter. And I'm going to show you what that looks like then. During this process, you will see your Thermomix moving around a lot. Don't let it go. Just actually hold on to it a little bit so that actually it doesn't flip off your top. It is extremely amazing how much buttercream can do to your Thermomix, and this particular one is essentially so fluffy that the butter will really whip through, and we don't want it to collapse, and we don't want that Thermomix to fall off the counter. So be there at all times, make sure you hold it and make sure you're there. At this stage it looks a little bit like this. It's sort of half semi-incorporated. It might even look quite grainy. It might look like it curdled. As long as it doesn't look like it's soup, we're all good, okay? We're on the safe side. At this point, if you feel like it's a little bit on the soft end, cool it down for a couple more minutes before you continue with this last step. I'm gonna just pop it back on, speed 3, until it's completely smooth, okay? So literally turn it on, hold your Thermomix, and you will see it changing texture. Have faith, it will definitely come out well. And now here comes the moment of truth. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So it's been 3 minutes on speed 3. Occasionally I've turned it off just to scrape it quickly and then turn it back on to speed 3. Just sometimes you need to pop that little air bubble. It does sometimes come up. So just don't be afraid to actually stop it, scrape it with a spatula and then continue. But this is my Italian meringue buttercream, and it looks pretty epic to me. It's exactly what I wanted. It's fluffy, it worked out. Don't be afraid at some point during this making of the buttercream, it might look a little bit like it's curdled. As long as it doesn't look like soup, and if it looks a bit like it's curdled, don't worry, it will get to that stage where it actually looks good. You just need to be a bit patient. This is the consistency you get. It's perfectly pipeable, it is stiff as it can be, and that's exactly what you want. At this stage you can add in some food coloring, you can also add in some vanilla bean extract, whichever things you like into this buttercream. You could also add in some chocolate, some cocoa powder. This is now perfect as it is, and if you want to use this for icing, you can use it straight away. Or you can pop it into your piping bag and then leave it for another 10 minutes or so in the fridge just to stiffen up even further, get a little bit chillier, and then you can really pipe it. It's perfectly pipeable for Russian piping, for any type of piping you like. You can make wonderful roses. You can now use this to actually top off your cake and decorate your cake, or just eat it as it is. But it's a wonderful, wonderful Italian buttercream, meringue buttercream that is amazing. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to hit that bell button, subscribe to my channel, and for the link in the description below, you will see some more information and some notes that I took for this recipe to help you guide through it. See you later, guys.